So with that, I thank you and open to any questions.
Sorry, me again. The existing MPLS network, you absorb that. You don't have to cut out replace the existing MPLS network. You run your services over that from the head office through to the branch offices once you've connected into the organisation.
Do you have an existing MPLS network?
Yeah.
So what we can do is we can deliver off-net, which is effectively we deliver over across someone else's network. So we would make sure that there was a voice VPN enabled across your MPLS network to provide the end-to-end quals. From our perspective, the support we can offer isn't as good as if it's our network, simply because our handover point is onto your network, whoever your network provider is, and then they deliver it to your all the different offices. With our network, we actually provide a full service right to the desktop. But technically, it's not a problem. We do this with a lot of customers. In fact, we provide telephony to academics over the Janet network, which is exactly the same type of thing. And it has a couple of little things that are a little bit different. We have to be aware of what you're competing with, making sure we have correct escalation processes to your network provider. But technically, there's no issues at all.
Okay. Then the deployment of converged messaging onto the desktop, if that desktop is a Citrix desktop, is that giving you any hassles?
The OCS client will work on OCS. You will need to make sure that the streaming elements of OCS, like audio and video, will work in a Citrix environment. Things like IAM and presence and all that stuff, it's not a problem at all. You just need to make, like any, if you're trying to do streaming. We haven't had an enormous amount of experience of running streaming audio over that, but what we can do, and this is the nice thing about this service, is that you can pilot it for 30 days with a number of users at no charge. We can usually get you up and running in 24 hours, so you can try it out and see how it works in your real environment rather than just taking sort of advice from mates and what it should be.
We do tend to find a lot of customers do start off with a trial one or two offices, and then when they're happy with that, then they're just on board and do the migration plan.
Right.
But moving away from legacy PBX to hosted platform, obviously there's a lot of questions there. Does it work? Will it work as good? And it's kind of that's why it's on the trials to make sure it does.
Yeah, pilots and trials are really important. We hope you trust us. You can make and receive phone calls. That's not what we're piloting. What we're piloting is how it fits with your organisation and how it works with your existing infrastructure, your network, Citrix, all that type of thing. And we can deliver that very easily. It's do demonstrations. Then often what happens is that there'll be a new office comes on a new building, and you need to put a new phone system in. So a lot of people say, "Well, actually, just give it a go. You've got 15 handsets there, and we'll go and put it in." This is what we do with all our customers, and we use that as a test case to prove not just the technology, but we're a service organisation first and foremost. We're a people company, so we use this to prove our project managers, our service delivery, our support, and that gives you the confidence before you sign up for a large decision to go, because it is a big scary decision. Phone systems are quite sticky. They're quite difficult to swap out if you don't like them, and we are fully aware of that, and we want to make sure that you go at the pace that you want to go.
The good thing as well is we do, going back to involving the users, is do like a questionnaire. So we send out a questionnaire to a lot of the users. What do you use your phone for? What kind of features would you not want to be without? And then we can distinguish what type of phone you want. And given the high-end phone, so somebody who's just picking up the phone and using it for speaking, and then you've got a receptionist who obviously needs the full in-depth functionality. So we get involved at an early stage, and we'll send out questionnaires to the staff and understand what their requirement is. So
Good question, sorry.
Just a comment really. The difficulty with some organisations are that they inherit a situation where PBXs, the lumps of tin, are sitting there, and the depreciation cost to the business is so great. The finance director, with 5 years left to over a 10-year depreciation, when it comes to choosing a new system or looking to IPN enable an old Meridian system or something like that, can sometimes look at what is a typical cost to go IP, rather than seeing a totally holistic picture, which to a certain extent for them, when they look at the cost, seems too good. Sometimes when things look too good, and they've got this whole lump of depreciation that they've got to contend with, it's difficult. So sometimes going to a solution like this really awaits a time when there's an ideal opportunity. It's more difficult.
Totally agree. And And to be fair, this is, I think, why we're seeing an enormous interest in SIP trunking. Because SIP trunking gives you 90% of the benefit of this, and it allows the final migration from TDM to IP to be effortless. Because if you think about what a SIP trunk is, it's an IP connection from our switch to your site across an MPLS network. So you can get the device DMs, you can just use your existing core infrastructure, you have all the DR capabilities and flexible. And you can also mix and match, as someone commented before, about being able to have a mix between hosted and PBX. So you can sweat that Meridian for the last 5 years. And then when you're ready to change, it will say, well, do you want to do that? We had one customer, I wouldn't recommend it at all, but they had a PBX that they were paying so much on, it was an old thing, and he decided to just cancel his maintenance contract and have some spare polygons from others in the cupboard, but when that card went back, he'd just go and replace them with some polygon access. So he just waited for his system to just rot. Now, it's not a very structured and managed way of doing it, but sort of a telephony rollout. But the point was that he had exactly the same problem, and he just thought of quite a creative way of doing it. As a guy from Leeds and sort of Yorkshire kind of attitude to not spending too much money. But that was it worked for him. I wouldn't recommend it, but it shows that it's a very, very common problem. And those, you have to, I appreciate that. Those Meridians work great. There's nothing wrong with them.
But there is a way around it, of course. If you present your finance officers and others with a risk element, which is Meridians, Nortel, Chapter 11 bankruptcy, BT is a failing pensions company, and if you're with both of those, hey, you can paint a big picture of risk, and you can sometimes manufacture an opportunity, and that is the only way, perhaps.
Absolutely. Well, we're obviously, if you help with manufacturing those opportunities, we're more than willing to help you. But actually, on a more serious point, what we can do to help with TCO is actually, going back to that TCO example, you don't even need to look at some of the softer costs. Just look at your phone bill. Divide it by the number of people in your organisations and tell us what that number is. And that is our challenge. We have to come in at that price or lower, and then you'll start saving money from day one. The argument is that once, obviously we're a commercial organisation, the current recession isn't great for us either, but what we can go in and say, look, the sooner you move over to the service, the quicker you will start saving money. And that is a message that's great for us, it's great for you, and it's great for the FD who might be trying to keep hold of that Meridian for as long as possible.
Just a real quickie, you proposed a per user cost for telephony. Have you got a per user cost for hosted Exchange?
Oh yeah, I haven't included on the site. So Exchange, we charge on Exchange license, Outlook license, and storage. So typically a 2 gig mailbox with Outlook is about £5.50, £6. If you've got your own Outlook, it's a bit cheaper. If you want a smaller mailbox, it's a bit cheaper, kind of a bit more, it's a bit more expensive. But again, that's a utility model. There's a web-based interface. If you need to upgrade someone from a 2 gig to 4 gig mailbox, you do a quick click, upgrade them, and then you just get billed on that for slightly more storage. OCS is about, it depends on actually, it's worth saying, I don't know what enterprise agreements or classification you have by Microsoft, but we have an equivalent one for everyone you have. So if you're charity or you're education or whatever, Microsoft have specific pricing, and we can match those in ours as well. Commercial pricing, which is obviously the most expensive, is £3 for OCS standard and £9 for OCS enterprise. But the academic pricing is significantly less. I'm not sure what arrangements you have with Microsoft, but we have equivalent pricing for all of those ones we have already, so don't concern about that. We can also convert any licenses that you've bought into a service provider license. So say that you bought OCS but you haven't deployed it, we can actually transfer those onto our systems and reduce the charge rate. Anything else? Or is everyone too hungry? Okay, well we're downstairs. We've got a little stand. It's not the flashiest stand. It's just a table with some pens and things.
Sure.
And we'd love to come and see if you come and pop by. And we'd love the challenge. There's a guy in my team that has a great life, lives in Devon, and all he does is analyse phone bills. So if you can send us your phone bill, we can tell you how much we can save you, and it really is that simple. We can usually turn it around in a week or two. And even if you just want to use it to beat up your current provider, we'd love the opportunity to help you. But we think that you're quite pleasantly surprised at what we can offer.
The other thing as well is if you want to do trial service, then send some trials for you as well, so you can see it working.
Yeah. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.